All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in. This is in-home elderly care for those that are caring for a loved one, considering the care for a loved one. Like I've said on other videos, it doesn't have to be a loved one. It just seems most likely that the situation you're going to be in is that it will be a loved one. It will be somebody that you care about, probably an aging or aged family member. Or maybe someone that's untimely sick, that has an illness, and you've gone through the process of seeing if a elderly care facility, a nursing home, assisted living, all of that whole world, is a good fit, and for whatever reason it's not a good fit. It could be because of the customer, or it could be a financial thing. It could be a myriad of reasons. And you've decided to take on the elderly care yourself, helping the customer, that is, or you're trying to figure that out, which is kind of going to speak more to what we're going to look at today. It's the process of trying to figure that out. As always, I use the case study of my grandmother, Ruth Callis Kenton, who I assisted with her for several years, in home, taking care of her, going through the whole rigmarole of all of that. And you'll find when you do this thing, this in-home thing, that it's more than just taking care of their person. You get your hands in on taking care of the house or the facility. I'm saying facility, but their home, or maybe it's your home and they're living with you or whatever. You're in that world too, and then you're also in the managing family relationships world, because you're gonna find yourself, answering phone calls for them, or trying to give other people that are asking about the customer information about the customer. Hey, how's Ruth doing today? How's she doing? And does Ruth have any? And you're answering all of that and stuff, and you're trying to. So it's taking care of the customer, of course, and making sure that they have the best level of care possible. But it's also all of the other elements that go along with it, which I've spoken to a certain extent, not the full extent. These are never one size fits all answers, and there's never a finished moment in the conversation. You're in a position where you're just making decisions based off of the information you have and based off of what's right for the customer in this particular moment. These are fluid deals where symptoms and conditions change. Your situation as the caregiver will change. Going back to the house, the place where they're being taken care of could change. The financial status could change. Things change, right? And you're just keeping your head above water while giving the customer the best level of care. Remember, it's not about being everything. It's about being just enough, right? You want to focus on being just enough, okay? We're giving her the best level of care, but what it takes for us to get there is just enough. So, with that thought in mind, I'll go ahead and roll over to the slides. Like I do, I got these slides, right? And today we're going to talk, it's a question. I've been doing questions here more recently. I think that looking at things situationally could potentially be a good way of going about this. Plus, it keeps the topics limited to a particular point or a particular thing that we want to answer. Because all of these subject matters in this world of in-home elderly care are so broad, and you could talk, forever and da-da-da. And I want to keep these videos, bite-sized and digestible. I mean, you ever look for something on YouTube and you pull it up and you're like, holy crap, 45 minutes. 45 minutes. I'm not going to sit through this thing of 45 minutes, or if I sit through it, how much of it can I reasonably be expected to retain? So I'm trying to keep it in the realm of making it bite-sized and digestible for whoever's looking at this. So with that being said, I'll definitely get to the point, because already you're looking at this video and you're like, bro, You're saying you want to get to the point, but you're already 3 or 4 minutes in on some rant that has nothing to do with the point. Fair enough. Here we go. This question is about emotional readiness, okay, from the standpoint of the caretaker. And it's asking, am I emotionally prepared to handle the challenges of caregiving, including stress, frustration, and potential burnout? Hey, no, you're not. but nobody is. Okay, that's the short answer to the question. I'll talk more about it. You're not, but no one is. It's the question of, am I ready to be a parent? Am I ready to be married? Am I ready to move to Japan? Whatever it is. No is the short answer, because no one's fully prepared to take on those engagements. But the reality is that you do it anyways. And yes, you should, you do it anyways if you are overall in a posture where you would be a good fit to do it. But if you're going into the conversation thinking, having serious doubt, or thinking that, like, man, serious doubt's a good way to say it. I don't think that, I just know I'm not going to be a good fit for this, then no. That's probably a red flag that you would want to consider. But, no one is truly prepared for the challenges that are going to be prepared here. It's, maybe you've heard this expression before. My understanding is it comes from Donald Rumsfeld, and former Secretary of Defense, who famously said, there are known unknowns and there are unknown unknowns, right? And you might look at that on the face and think, man, that doesn't make any sense. But I actually, I think if you think about it, it does make sense. Like, there are things you can look at here and be like, man, I don't know about that. I know that there are challenges that are going to happen that I don't know about, and I kind of know what those challenges look like. So, for instance, let's say the customer is in elderly shape. Maybe they are bedridden, or whatever the medical phrasing for that would be. They have limited mobility, and they have certain conditions that at some point is going to require them going to the hospital, and I know that we face that. So here's the situation. 6 a.m., you're up, you're making breakfast or coffee or whatever, and then you go and check on the customer, and they say, hey, I don't feel good, I need to go to the hospital. Boom, everything changes on a dime. And so you might not have a sure answer of how you're going to work that process right now. You definitely don't know what is going to be the outcome of that visit to the hospital or medical facility, professional medical caregiver, etc. But you know that you don't know. That is a known unknown. An unknown unknown is something that is unknown, but you're not even tracking that you need to know what it is. And I think, I'm trying to think of a good example in this particular world offhand, but I think the way that I'll phrase it is something outside of this world, is that if you were to tell somebody, if you were trying to explain to somebody in the 1990s what an iPhone is, not only do they not know what it is and they don't know how to use it, but they're not even aware that it's something that they would even need to know or have to learn at any point, right? So there are going to be things, just bringing it back here to the elderly care world, there are going to be things that you don't know. There are going to be things that you're going to have to work through, and it will be challenging. And to the other points that are in this question, they will be stressful, they will be frustrating, and they potentially will lead to burnout. I know that by the end of the process, I was totally burnt out. I was totally burnt out to the point where it was affecting my level of care to the customer. And really, with a particular case of burnout, that's what you want to consider. It's or it could be frustration or stress or any of the other things that are listed there, but it's particularly speaking to getting to a point where you're not able to provide the level of care that the customer needs, okay? And then your level of commitment starts to turn, your relationship with the customer starts to turn, and then you start putting that energy, that pressure, whatever you want to say, on the blame on the customer. And the customer, and this is like generally speaking, maybe someone could write in some way that is different from what I'm about to say, but like generally speaking, it's not going to be the customer's fault. It's not Ruth's fault that she's 90, 92, 93. It's not her fault that she's going blind. It's not her fault that she's got congestive heart failure. And even if it is or was, that's not the proper question to solve for in this moment, because it's one of those things where the toothpaste is out of the tube, bro. It ain't ever going back. And what you have to deal with is what's happening right now in the moment. So, are you emotionally prepared? Like, probably not, but that's okay. That's not necessarily a disqualifier from stepping into this place. You know, it's more about understanding that there will be challenges and things that you don't know, and being prepared to overcome them when they come up. Now, if you're not willing to do that, then red flag, and you're not a good candidate for this position. But if you are, and you're willing to do it with the heart of a servant, and do it in a way with patience and keeping a cool head, and no one's perfect, but that's the spirit of which you want to go into, then you got a really good chance of doing it at a high level, and really providing some awesome care to the customer. All right, thank you. So my last slide is I always throw up here. If you've got questions, hey, look, you can comment on the video as well. I'll see that and I'll answer that. Or you can email me, mario@thealphaitalian.com. Name and location. Who are you? Where's the question coming from? And then anything else you might want to give me there with that. So if it's something where you want to tell me a little bit more about the situation, circumstance that you either have faced or are facing or see yourself facing in the future, give me all of that, and we'll put it all in context. Again, that's why I've moved to questions, is making it very specific and making it in a way where the where we're talking about specific scenarios. I think that that's what's going to be helpful, because everyone's in-home elderly care situation is going to look different from everyone else. Different living situations, different parts of the country, different conditions, different medications, different financial status, whatever. So let me know how I can be helpful. I hope you have gotten some value out of this video. Thank you so much.